Hello. Welcome to a comprehensive showcase of the latest public testing build. Like if you want, subscribe if you want, I don't care. I want to start with what's right in front of us, the Stryker MGS, also known as the M1128. This is probably the biggest change that will be affecting people's gameplay besides the map voting, which we'll cover in a moment. Um, this is a pretty interesting vehicle, bringing the MGS class to another faction. So you can see it comes with the names just like the Abrams, but it does not have the same label on the barrel, which is of course the most important part to me. It drives and behaves pretty similar to your average striker, um, maybe just a little bit slower. And you can see in here it still has the general smoke generator in the engine, although I will note it does have a ammo rack that can be damaged and destroyed, as similar to all other MGSs. Going into the gun here, you can see it's a pretty traditional sight, um, but the zoom sight is better than what we've seen on other US vehicles, particularly the Abrams, with better ranging and things like that. There's also a display for the coax amounts that you have left, but nothing for smoke or AP. Something interesting about the ammo counts is you only have 4 AP rounds, so you'll have to be really conservative with those, but you have plenty of high explosive anti-tank rounds, and plenty of MGS, or machine gun rounds. You also have 2 launches from the smoke launchers, and this vehicle contains a autoloader, so I'll just play the sound for you right here. And then it has a stabilizer, just like any other expected MGS. Um, but something I did notice is it doesn't have the usual rock that I've seen in examples and videos of this particular MGS when the gun is fired, especially to the side. So I'll show that.
Let's get 2 people counting down. 0.
Fucking whore.
God damn.
You see how the
All right, moving on. The third seat is a commander seat. It's a pretty usual traditional good commander seat. You can't go all the way up, but it's pretty good. You have 360 rotation, um, a stabilizer, and 3 levels of zoom that go pretty far. The fidelity is pretty good. You have a laser rangefinder. You're aware of everything's facing at all times, so it's a pretty good one. In addition, you can see the seat that I'm sitting in front of right here. It's an open-topped MG. Um, you can see you have some armor protecting you, but obviously not too much. But this will be a really interesting seat to play in if you have a full 4-man squad working this MGS. Something interesting is when you move the MG, and then the turret will move, um, you will not be relative to the turret's motion. The cogs here, um, that system, when the turret moves, you will turn with it rather than it like running into you, if that makes sense. Okay, that's all I have for this vehicle. It's a pretty interesting one. It doesn't have any storage for any people, but it has 600 ammo. Um, Otherwise, pretty traditional. All right, next we have this really interesting addition right here. It's the quad ATV. It's also just called the quad bike. It's built off of the Insurgent um, motorcycle kind of model, but currently it's only for the U.S. Army. Um, it's a cute little thing. Just I don't know, your usual vehicle. It has 2 seats in it, with the second person facing backwards. You can see on the front there, there's the ammo here, and 150 ammo that you can resupply off of. So it's a pretty good vehicle if you want to go for any sort of like AT team runs or things like that. It's pretty loud, and as you can see, it leaves behind a pretty big cloud of dust, so you will not be sneaking around very easily with this. When it's idle, you can hear it from 40 meters away. Otherwise, it's a pretty fast, pretty mobile vehicle. Um, it will get up pretty fast. It'll handle jumps and airtime and things like that pretty well. Um, it will not turn great and will carry momentum pretty easily, but you can use your handbrake to turn quickly. Also, if you try and go in reverse, just like this is fine, but if you try and turn, it will very quickly skid like this, and it'll be terrible to control. Alright, so for the new clear sights feature, this currently only works on iron sight weapons, and so when you're sprinting and jumping and your stamina gets low, right after that, say there's some target in front of you and you have to fight them, you go into ADS and your focus is around the front sight rather than the closer back sight. Let's just see that again. Right. And so when you're using this, it's easier to fire right off the bat, but you get less accuracy from not having those two sights lined up. And comparing that to having stamina and scoping it. So overall, kind of a minor change, but one that should make iron sight weapons pretty better. I do seem to remember from the ICO playtest there being some sort of feature like this with scoped weapons, and I'll try and find a clip of it. But this is an option for more iron sight weapons than just main battle rifles. So here we have the unscoped MG3, and when I scope in regular with stamina, you can see the focus is around the center. And then if I lose all my stamina, I believe it's also not just losing all your stamina, but having run and jumped, sprinted and jumped, and then scoping in, you will be around the front. So there's a noticeable difference there. And then once you get to about half stamina, it will return to that center focus. Right, so as you can see, here's the Timberwolf, and once I fire it, does not bolt but when I press the left mouse button, it doesn't do anything either. But it's just completely broken, and to fire again, I have to completely reload the weapon. Alright, and one last thing before we get to map voting. You can see I'm on Basrah, and there's been some changes. So first, on the northern main, there's a lot more trees, and there's defilades surrounding all of the important bits. This is to provide further protection and less intelligence leaked from anyone that's staring from out in the desert. In addition, you have a lot more trees around this area near the highway, and in particular, blocking this area between here and the bridge point. So over here on this point, you will not just be able to fire directly into it. It'll still be slightly possible through the trees, but not to the same extent that you would be able to before. This is definitely a good change, and it could signal a further Al-Basra rework. You can also see that at the southern main, which is currently the insurgent main, It's been set up for better accommodation for what units are going to be playing. So there's already boat docks and heli pads and greater area for vehicles to spawn, allowing for whatever is required. Right, now for map voting. When the game ends and after 10 seconds for the leaderboard, the screen will shift to a menu where all players vote for the next map and layer. There are options for 6 maps or to reroll, with the majority option winning. You have 30 seconds and get another 30 after the reroll. You can communicate with other players, but I'm not certain if it's all players or just ones on your team. You can view the information for each map by pressing the circled I, which includes how many flags you will fight for, the number of tickets you will have, what time of day it's at, and any special information like the fob radius or lack of commander. The map shows the path taken for AAS and possible points for other layers. It also shows which factions are available on that layer, as well as the individual units for those factions. These units will be shaped around different concentrations of deployables and vehicles, which you can see the information of in the next phase. Each team will have 30 seconds and another 30 if they reroll to select their faction and unit. While the first team's selection may be blue 4, red 4, or independent, which includes Turkey, the second team will only have options for independent or opposing factions. The not currently voting team will have to wait while the other votes and can see if they reroll, and teams can communicate with each other the entire time. At the end, the chosen units will be displayed to each team alongside the map for a few seconds, and then the game begins.